Yes, Pervez sir is here. Sir, I am audible. Yes, sir. Your screen is visible, but okay.
You are audible, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you very much for joining in this teacher training program sessions, today's sessions. First of all, I want to introduce our resource person, Professor Pervez sir. Welcome, sir. Sir, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Okay, doesn't matter. Okay, sir. First of all, I want to introduce our resource person, Professor Mohammad Pervez Sahab, Department of Education, Aligarh Muslim University. Dear participants, in the realm of the education and academic excellence, one name that shines brightly in Professor Mohammad Pervez with an impressive background and wealth of experience. He stands as a true authority in the field of educational administrations and methodology to teaching social studies. Professor Pervez is a professor in the Department of Education, where he has made invaluable contribution to the board teaching and research for nearly 3 decades. Professor Pervez's academic journey began with a strong foundation as a whole multiple postgraduate degree, MA in political science and MA in history, and a master in education. Building on this solid education background, he pursued his passion for the research and completed a PhD in education, further refining his expertise in his area of specialization. With a career spanning 29 years, Professor Pervez has left an indelible mark on academic landscape through his extensive teaching and research experience. He has been guiding force for the numerous students, successfully supervising 10 PhD theses to completions, while currently mentions of 4 scholars on their research journey. Recognized for his scholarly prowess, Professor Pervez has been a member of editorial board of several esteemed journals. His contributions has been published in various national and international journals, totaling an impressive count of 31 articles and research papers. Additionally, he has authored 2 notable books, School Administrations and Socialism and Education, further establishing himself an authority in the domain. Beyond his academic accomplishment, Professor Pervez has actively participated in the academic conferences both at national and international level. His commitment to the education and academia extends to various administrative roles he has undertaken. Professor Mohammad Pervez's contributions have not only enriched the academic community at the Aligarh Muslim University, but have also had a broader impact on the education and social science research. So I have requested the Professor Pervez sir kindly deliver your lecture and enlighten us. Yes, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So please.
First of all, I will say thank you to your Bharat Digital Academy and as well as Rafiq Saab for giving me this opportunity just to give 1 hour just to talk with our participant. Dear participant, I will just simply request, no doubt, it's an online lecture, but I hope you all will listen it attentively. And I hope whenever I will ask any question, you all will give the perfect answer. Now today the topic is understanding teaching skills. Dear participant, as we all know, teaching is a profession. As we all know that doctor, engineer, in the same way, teaching itself is also a profession. But now when you will define profession, then you will find profession means any job which requires some special training or some special skill. Because this teaching skill is directly related with the teaching profession. So now it is expected the person who is teaching the classroom, since the person has joined this profession also, it is expected that person should also be aware about the different teaching skills also. But the fact is, when a teacher teaches in the classroom, he uses near about 20 teaching skills. 20 teaching skills at a time. And now if a person who is really teaching the classroom, he is really master or deeply aware about the different teaching skills, and he is very much careful about utilizing these teaching skills, then it is supposed that I will say here that his teaching will always be very much effective. And now these 20 teaching skills are here. Writing instructional objectives, organizing the content, creating set for introducing the lesson, structuring classroom questions delivery and distribution, response management, explaining, illustrating, using teaching aids, stimulus variation, reinforcement, pacing of the lesson, prompting people participation, use of blackboard, achieving closure of the lesson, giving assignments, evaluating the pupils' progress, diagnosing people learning difficulties and taking remedial measures, management of the class. In fact, when the person is teaching or delivering the lecture, he uses about these 20 skills. But the fact is, in this 1 hour duration, it is just impossible just to discuss all the teaching skills. That's why I have selected only few teaching skills. And I hope so that all the participants, if they all are the teachers, they must be using the classroom, the lecture method. So I will just request, when I will discuss the teaching skill, just to try to think in the context of lecture method. Here in the lecture method, when a person is delivering the lecture, how the person will use these teaching skills. So first of all, I will take a very simple teaching skills, very simple teaching skills. And before, declaring the first teaching skill that I will discuss just now, please give me the answer. Suppose if you are teaching the classroom, and after discussing the concept, if you ask the classroom, the concept is clear or not, then obviously it is not necessary that the 100% student will say the concept is clear. But even the one student is saying here the concept is not clear, what is your opinion? What you will do in this situation? Anybody will give the answer, please? Yes, all the participants, please give the answer. Yes, as I received this answer, I will try. As one participant is writing here, I will try to teach again in simple way. I will ask the questions. Now here, as it is the opinion of some experts, no doubt the different teacher will apply different techniques. But the best method is here. But the best method is here if you will explain the concept with the help of examples. But the fact is this, all type of examples will never be suitable just to clear the concept. So now here it means before giving an example, it is also necessary one should know the previous knowledge of the students. What is the background of the students? Either they are coming from the rural areas or urban area. What is the age group of the students? What will be the psychology of the students? And basically one thing which is very important, one should pay attention, one should be very much careful about the previous knowledge of the students. So now, first of all, the first component of this skill is here, formulating simple example. Like now here, the ultimate aim is here, the concept should be more simple. Because the situation is here, when the one student is saying here, sir, the concept is not clear, it means your ultimate aim here, the concept must be clear. So now for this purpose, you have to give some example. And as far as the term simple is concerned, basically it is a relative term. It is a relative term. It is not necessary the same example will be simple to all the students. One example may be simple for the rural people, may not be for the urban people. May be simple for the boys, may not be simple for the girls. May be simple for graduation students, may not be simple for the 12th class students. It means the ultimate aim is here, you have to keep in our mind the previous knowledge of the students. If the students, if your example is basically based on previous knowledge, it is very much simple for the student, they can understand the concept. Sometimes it happens, a teacher uses some so typical examples, even it becomes more difficult for the students to understand the concept. So now it is necessary before selecting any example, please keep in our mind the previous knowledge of the students. Now, second one is here interesting. It is also necessary, the example should also be interesting for the group of the students to whom you are teaching. Again, this aspect is also based on the previous knowledge of the students, or we can say here, this is also basically a relative term. Relative term. One example may be interesting for one group of students, but it is not necessary. The same example may be equally interesting for the other students also. And the same thing, again, I will say here, before giving any example, then again, you have to keep in our mind the previous knowledge of the students. What is the background of the students? So they can, if they have this experience, because as it is said, the best example is that if it is related with the life of the students. Now here, third one is here, formulating relevant example. Sometimes it happens, if you are selecting irrelevant example, then you will find the students will become more confused. Rather, if the example will not be relevant, then it will be further more difficult for the students about that concept. So it is very, very important. And now your example must be very simple, interesting, as well as relevant also. Relevant according to the concept. Now here, another is approach. Generally, there are two main approaches are here. One is called deductive approach. Another is called inductive approach. Both the approaches are very simple. Deductive approach means when you are, first of all, when you are discussing the concept, then just to make your concept more easy, then you give the example. This is basically deductive approach. I'm just repeating it again. Deductive approach means when, first of all, you are just explaining the concept, then you give the example. This is called basically deductive approach. And here another is inductive approach. Inductive approach means when you, first of all, give the example, then you explain the concept. And both the approaches are correct, but it totally depends on the will of the teacher. He can use deductive as well as inductive approach also. So this is really a very simple teaching skill, illustrating with examples. जैसे मैंने कहा, I'm just repeating again. First of all, it should be a simple, it should be interesting, it should be a relevant. And now here, as well the approach is concerned, it totally depends on the will of the teacher. He can use deductive as well as inductive approach. Now here, the second one is here, stimulus variation skill. Like now here that there are two words, stimulus variation. Now, as we all know here, the first of all, the teacher must try at our level best just to motivate the students. They must listen the teacher. They must be highly motivated. If they are highly motivated, then you will find the teaching will always be effective and the achievement level of the students will also be very much high. And the fact is this, all these teaching skills are very useful, very effective, just to keep all the students attentive. So now the second one is here, stimulus variation skill. Stimulus means activity. Variation means change. It means stimulus variation means change in the activity of a teacher. Because it is the opinion of expert, if a teacher is continuous doing the same activity, then after a few minutes, the teaching will become very dull, very monotonous, and the students will not be motivated. And now when they are not motivated, all the efforts of the teacher will always be totally useful and useless and futile. It means it is expected just to keep all the students attentive. The teacher should also, there must be some variation in his activity. So now here, stimulus variation means change in the activity of the teacher. The teacher की activity में बराबर फर्क आते रहना चाहिए, change होता रहना चाहिए. And now here, first of all is here, the first component is here, movement. Although I am discussing here this stimulus variation skill, which means change in the activity, but I am sorry, for this online teaching, all the activities are also very much restricted. And I cannot show any sort of movement also. But now here, the first is movement. Means there must be some movement of the teacher when the teacher is standing near the blackboard. And now here, during our lecture, sometimes the teacher will go near the students. Sometimes the teacher will move in one corner of the class. Sometimes he will move another corner of the class. And now this change of the position of the teacher is very important. Very important. Suppose if you are standing near the blackboard, if the teacher is standing on one place, and the students, if there are 30 or 40 or 50 students are here, they are sitting here in the whole classroom, and the teacher is standing on one place. It means all the students will see the teacher with the same angle throughout the period. It means there is no any chance of movement of the students, and the students have no chance just to change our position also. But now here, when the teacher changes position, as I told you, sometimes it happens the teacher may stay in one corner of the class. Sometime he will move, he will go to the he will go near the blackboard. Sometime he will go another corner. Sometime he will go near the student also. Means when the teacher will change our position, the students can also change our position. They can also change our posture also. If the students are seeing towards the teacher with the same angle, after some time you will find the students may feel some sort of pain in his neck and as well as in our back also. And now here this pain will also hamper the motivation of the students also. So it means this movement is also very important. But the fact is this movement must be relevant. Must be relevant. Just to, walking in the classroom is also not permissible. But the important thing is here, whenever needed, whenever the teacher is delivering the lecture, he may change our position, he can change our place also. So this movement is also very, very important just to keep all the students attentive. Now, second one is here, gesture. Gesture means here the movement of head, hand, face expression. Suppose when a teacher is teaching the classroom without any movement of hand, without any movement of our change in the face expression, then again I will say here his teaching will become monotonous. There will be a dullness. Because whatever you are explaining in the classroom, whatever you are explaining in the classroom, its concept must also be depicted through your face expression, through the movement of hand. So then the sentences or your teaching will be more effective. So this gesture is also, and now again, please don't forget it here. I am discussing this aspect under the heading of stimulus variation skill. Means change in the activity. It means, as I have discussed, first point, change in the movement of the teacher, change in the gesture of the teacher also. Just to keep all the students attentive. Now the third one is here, change in the voice. Change in the voice. Suppose if a teacher is teaching the classroom with the, without any sort of variation in the voice, without any change of the change in the voice, then again the voice of the teacher will become very painful of the students also. Then again the same thing will also always be there. It will also hamper the motivation of the students. And now here the three aspects are here: tone, pitch, and speed. Here tone means quality of sound. Pitch means frequency of sound. Speed, the way of, just to express the things. These three things are also very important. Means there must be some change in the tone also. Means there must be variation in the quality of sound. There must be change in the frequency of the sound. And now this is also fact. Even अगर आपके मैं ये कहूँ कि आपको एक ही frequency के साथ अगर कोई अच्छा गाना भी सुनवाया जाए, then after a few moments you will realize then it will become more painful also. So now for this purpose it is very important there must be change in the tone of the teacher. There must be some change in the pitch also. And now third one is also here the speed. And now, as according to the findings of one research, for effective teaching, please listen to it very carefully. This is very important research findings. In normal tongue, with normal mind, can process near about 250 words in a minute. I am repeating it again, please listen to it carefully. A normal tongue with normal mind can process near about 250 words in a minute. But for effective teaching, the teacher must process near about 50 words in a minute for effective teaching. Sometimes it happens, the few teachers, they speak very fast. Then you will realize the teaching will not be so effective. The teaching will not be so effective. So now here for effective teaching, the speed should also be slow. As it is the opinion of experts, if the teacher realizes the class is weak, then his delivery of the lecture should also be slow. So the speed itself is also very important, just to keep all the students attentive. Now, another is here focusing. Another component of stimulus variation is here focusing. Here you will find the three types of focusing. Verbal focusing, second gestural focusing, and third one is here verbal cum gestural focusing. I hope you all will agree with me. If a teacher is delivering without any sort of movement in his face expression, I have discussed just now, without using any sort of gesture also, he's just explaining the things, you will realize his teaching will not be so effective. And sorry. Then you will realize his teaching will not be so effective. But now here, whatever you are explaining, if you are showing it with the help of your hand, if you are showing through your face expression, if the movement of your hand is also according to the concept, then you will find your teaching will be more effective. Another thing is here, focusing. One is verbal focusing, gestural focusing, another is verbal cum gestural focusing. Verbal, suppose if you are explaining a concept, in each and every definition, you will find the few words will always be very important. And obviously, when the teacher is explaining the concept, then he will emphasize on these words. Let me give that example of democracy, which is well-known definition. Definition, democracy is the government which is of the people, for the people, by the people. But now here, a perfect teacher will explain in another way. Democracy is the government which is of the people, for the people, and by the people. In this definition, these three aspects are very important. And now when the person, the teacher who is delivering the lecture, he will emphasize on these three words: of the people, for the people, and by the people. This is basically verbal gesturing, yeah, verbal focusing. And now another is here, when the teacher is not speaking, rather he is simply showing through the gesture. But another aspect here, if the teacher is using both the things, he is explaining as well as he is showing this impression through our hand and face also, then it will become verbal cum gestural focusing. So this aspect, because there will always be variation. Just maine kaha, sometimes he will explain without any using the gesture. Sometimes he will simply explain the thing. Sometimes he will use both the things. Then there will be variation, because the skill is here. Stimulus variation means there must be change. There must be change in his activity of the teacher. Then it will be very effective for the students also. They can understand it here. Now, another is a change in the interaction pattern. Change in the interaction pattern. Here, sometime it happens, a teacher asks the questions with the whole class. Sometimes the teacher asks the question with an individual students. Sometimes a teacher asks the question with another student and inquire about the response of another friend. Usne jo kaha, what is your opinion about this? Means the interaction between the teacher and the whole class, interaction between the teacher and the individual student, sometimes the interaction between the two students also. Means change in the pattern is also very important. So all these changes are very important, very effective also. Now here the next one is here pausing. Pausing means little silence. This little silence is also equally effective. As I have just given the definition of democracy, when you will explain it, when you will say again effectively, then you will say democracy is the government which is of the people, for the people, by the people. So now here the little silence between of the people, for the people, and by the people. This is basically pausing little silence. But the important thing is here, the duration of this pausing, the duration of this little silence must not be more than 3 seconds. If the duration is little long, then it will break the continuity. And again, it will hamper the motivation of the students. And apart from this, let me demonstrate it again. एक कोई teacher ने कहा democracy is the government which is of the people, for the people, by the people. But now here on the other hand, the teacher is explaining here, democracy is the government which is of the people, for the people, and by the people. Obviously, the second method will be more effective because here the teacher is using pauses also. Now, people physical participation means just to try to involve students physically. Sometimes it happens if you are teaching mathematics in the classroom or if you are teaching any formula, then you may ask students, please come over here in the, on the blackboard and write down that formula. Means there must be some time of, some sort of physical involvement of the students also. Oral visual switching. When a teacher is teaching in the classroom, it depends how many types of teaching aid the teacher is using. Nowadays, the concept of smart classroom is very much common in all the universities and all the departments. So now here, sometimes a teacher may use only oral teaching aid, sometimes visual only, sometimes oral, visual. Ultimate aim is here, there must be variation in the change, there must be variation in the activity of a teacher. I think these two skills that I have discussed just now, number one, example, another is stimulus variation skill. I will discuss this third skill later on. Now, number 4, explaining. We all know here about all the lectures is basically based on explaining. Explaining means when the teacher is explaining anything or using few sentences just to make our concept more clear to the students. Or we can say in other words, When a teacher speaks few interrelated few sentences about any concept with these objectives, the I can achieve the instructional objectives, or in other words, the concept may be clear. Then it is called explaining. It is a simple word when you are explaining any aspect. And now here, there are three types of explaining: descriptive, interpretive, and a reason giving. Now, whenever teacher explain in the classroom, then he may use all the three types of explaining just to make the concept more clear. But now here, the first is descriptive, which gives the answer of how. जैसे मैं कहूं कि how the hand pump works. Obviously, when the teacher will explain it here, it means the teacher is basically describing about the concept. When it gives the answer of how, कोई चीज कैसे होती है, how the hydrogen and oxygen makes the water. Obviously, when the teacher will explain, it will give the answer of how. This is called descriptive. Another is here interpretive. What is hydrogen? What is oxygen? What is, any concept? What is parliament? And now here, the second one is interpretive, when it gives the answer of what. And third explanation is there reason giving. Why? Why means when the person explaining the concept, he will give the answer of why. ऐसा क्यों होता है? ऐसा क्यों होता है? And now here it is expected when the teacher will explain anything, he will always give the answer of both, all the three things: how, what, and why. This is basically explaining. And now here there are few, behavior of a teacher. Few may be a desirable behavior of the teacher when a person is explaining anything. And now here few may be undesirable behavior of a teacher when the teacher is explaining anything. क्या हो रहा है? हाथ लग रहा है? देखिए, now here, as far as the desirable behavior of teacher is concerned, using appropriate beginning and concluding statement. देखिए, this is very important aspect. When a teacher is going to start our lecture, he must give a very brief introduction of the topic also. And it is also advisable, the teacher should also write down the name of the topic on the blackboard. Sometime it happens when the teacher was basically announcing the classroom, now today we will discuss this topic. If a student comes in the classroom few seconds late, he could not listen the name of the topic, then you will find he will become confused and he will inquire about other students also which topic is being taught us by this teacher. It may hamper the class or it may disturb the class. So first of all, it is also advisable the teacher should write down the name of the topic on the blackboard. At the same time, he must give some brief introduction. And the same thing is here when the teacher finish our lecture, then he should also give some concluding statement also. So now today in this topic, we have discussed this topic. Now, another aspect is here using explaining links. Because when you are delivering the lecture in the classroom, here you have to, speak here so many sentences. So many sentences. Because you cannot explain any concept with the help of one single sentence. Then you have to explain few words as I can say here, as I am speaking here. In the same way, when you are delivering the lecture in the classroom, obviously you have to speak 15 minutes or 1 hour. Then you have to speak so many sentences. So now for this purpose, you have to use few words just to make just to link the sentences. आप मेरा ख्याल है स्क्रीन पे देख रहे होंगे. As a result of, consequently, therefore, such that, hence, in order to, the main purpose, because, while, such, on the other hand, in spite of, hereafter, before, so that, due to, that is why, since, why, but the cause of, thus. All these words which are basically generally a teacher uses while making different sentences also. So one should be very careful while using these words also. Now, next point is here, covering essential points. Covering essential points. It is also necessary when you are explaining any concept. One should be very careful. The teacher should cover the whole topic. Not a single point should be left. And he check it here, either I have covered all the aspect or not. And the important thing is here, when you will go in the classroom, you have to keep in your mind. And now today's my instructional objectives are here. Instructional objectives means, I think if you are related to the education, the concept will be clear to you all. Instructional objective means when you are entering the classroom and during that period, what will be your objectives? Let me give an example as I am delivering the lecture on the teaching skills. So now my instructional objectives here, at least the participant, they must know here what are the different teaching skills also. What is illustration with the example? What is stimulus variation skill? What is, the explaining means this is my instructional objectives. उस पीरियड में मुझको क्या पढ़ाना है, बच्चों का अचीवमेंट लेवल उनके समझ में आ जाए. This is my instruction objective. So now here, the teacher should also be careful about it. Either during our lecture, either I am covering all the essential points or not. Now the undesirable behavior of a teacher in the classroom while delivering the lecture. Using irrelevant statement. Sometimes it happens the few teachers, they deliver the lecture very casually and uses some irrelevant words also, which are not useful for the topic, which are not useful for the students, which are simply wasting the time. Apart from this, these sentences are generally diverting the attention of the students. And again, I will just say the same thing. If the attention of the students will divert, then all the efforts of the teacher will always be useless. One should try to avoid our level best just to using irrelevant statement. Lacking fluency. Sometimes it happens if there is, fluency or fluency means uninterrupted explanation. Then it will also, it may also confuse the students also. Now, lacking continuity in statement. It is also very important if you are speaking 4 or 5 or 6 sentences about any concept, any topic, there must be interrelated relationship. They must be related with each other so that you can convey a concrete concept to all the students. But now here during this period, if you are speaking some relevant sentence also, then the student's achievement level will be very poor. Then using an appropriate vocabulary. Like sometimes it happens when a teacher uses some words, probably, perhaps, in fact, and actually, these are the few words. और कभी-कभी मैं कहता हूं कुछ टीचर को आदत भी हुआ करती है. Whenever the few teacher will use this type of words, then it makes the concept more vague to all the students. Such type of words will always confuse the students. One should try use only appropriate words. One should try to avoid inappropriate vocabulary while delivering the lecture. देखिए now बस एक और छोटी सी स्किल है. देखिए up to this stage we have already discussed few teaching skills, illustration with example, stimulus variation skill, and explaining. Now third one, I mean the next one is also reinforcement. This is my assumption, but I am very much sure that मेरा assumption गलत नहीं है कि when हम और आप जब भी क्लास में पढ़ाते हैं, if the students are doing something good, obviously you will always say shabash, very good, you will speak some appreciating words. So now here this reinforcement is basically a psychological term, and this is the human nature. Everybody always tries to repeat our good experiences and try to avoid unpleasant experiences. This is the human nature. And now here in the classroom, if the students are giving the correct answer, well, but I remember when I was in PUC, I studied a topic of English में एक topic था forgetting. उन्होंने बताया कि लोग जो है दवा खाना भूल जाते हैं, बसों में छतरी भूल जाते हैं, something like that, क्योंकि वो उनके लिए एक undesirable activity होती है. But now here, इसी तरीके से, this is the human nature. They always, I mean, everybody always try to repeat our good experiences, and everybody always try to avoid our, I mean, unpleasant experiences. So now here, in the classroom, when a teacher is delivering the lecture, and any students is giving the correct answer, you ask any question, if they are giving the correct answer, it is very much obvious. It is very much obvious. Then you will say, shabash, very good. You will use some appreciating words. Because through this way, the person who is giving the answer, he will also be very much encouraged. And apart from this, those who are not participating in the discussion or in the classroom, they will also be encouraged. They will also be motivated. Now here, if I will give the answer, the teacher will also say, shabash, very good for me also. So now here, there are few words. Just say, aap kahe, shabash, very good, right, your answer is correct. Something like that. This is called use. आप पहला वो aspect देख रहे होंगे, positive verbal reinforcement. Positive verbal means when the students are giving the correct answer, then the teacher is using some appreciating words. Shabash, very good, go ahead, right, something like that. When the teacher will speak, when the students are giving the correct answer. Because the teacher is thinking, now the students must participate, and because the one student is giving the correct answer, so now we should use some appreciating words also. And now here the two things which are very two aspects are here. Number one, when you are saying anything, this is positive verbal. Positive, when you are using some positive words, some appreciating words verbally. As I told you just now, shabash, very good. Another aspect is here, when the teacher repeat the correct answer of the student. When the teacher is repeating the correct answer of the students. So this is also some sort of positive verbal reinforcement. But now here, one thing is very important. Because here you will say, there are so many words are here. Just मैंने कहा, right, correct answer, very good, go ahead. Another is excellent. But you will find the excellent is more forceful in comparison of right and good. Here also, the teacher should also be very much careful, just to keeping in view the difficulty level of questions. Generally, in the classroom, when the teacher asks any question, you will find that three types of questions will always be there. One is higher order question, middle order question, lower order question. Lower order question, very simple questions. And again, I will say the word simple is a related term. किस क्लास के बच्चे हैं, BA फर्स्ट ईयर के हैं, MA के हैं या 12th के हैं, किस क्लास के हैं? Because the same question may be difficult for the 12th class students, but the same question may be easy for the graduation students also. So now here, if the question is very simple, students are giving the correct answer, then you can say, okay, right, your answer is correct. But now here, in any part of the heart, when you were asking the question, you were thinking, here my question is very difficult, and they cannot give the answer. But even then, in the whole class, only one student give the answer. Because the question was very difficult, it was a higher order question. But even then, the one student give the answer, obviously you say, shabash, very good, excellent. It means, if the question is simple, no need to use very forceful reinforcers. If the question is very difficult, if the students are giving the correct answer, then the teacher should use some more forceful reinforcers, positive verbal. Another is here, use of positive non-verbal reinforcers. Now here, positive non-verbal means the students are giving the correct answer, but this is non-verbal reinforcement. Means through our face expression, the teacher will give this impression, your answer is correct. The teacher will see towards the student by the very smiling face. By smiling face, which gives this impression, now my answer is correct. Because this is non-verbal, without speaking anything. But generally you will find you cannot separate this verbal and non-verbal. When you will use some verbal, at the same time, you will also use some non-verbal reinforcers together. I hope you all will be seeing towards my face also. If the students are giving the answer, you say, shabash, very good, excellent. There will be some sort of smile was also there on the face of the teacher. At the same time, you are saying, shabash, very good, excellent. At the same time, you are also seeing towards the student with a smiling face also. It means you are using all the positive verbal and positive non-verbal together. It is not practically possible that you are simply saying, you are appreciating by speaking, कि चेहरे पे तो आपके कोई तासुरात नहीं है, बिल्कुल फ्लैट चेहरे के साथ आप कहें शाबाश, very good, excellent, it will be totally useless. Practically, you will find the teacher, combine both the verbal and non-verbal also, then it will be more effective for the students if they are giving the correct answer. Now, I will discuss this extra verbal later on. Then use of negative verbal reinforcement. Negative verbal means when the students are giving the wrong answer, then you will say verbal. No, wrong. This is your answer. This is your wrong answer. You may use such type of words. When the answer is wrong, then you will verbally communicate it to the students. Your answer is not correct. But again, the same principle is applicable here. Before using any forceful negative verbal reinforcement, you have to keep in our mind the level of question also. Either it is a higher order, middle order, or lower order question. If the question was very difficult, and the teacher was also expecting, I know that my question is very difficult, the students cannot give the answer. Because the question is difficult, and the teacher was already expecting it here, the students will not give the correct answer. Then you say, no, your answer is wrong. But on the other hand, if the question is very lower order question, बहुत आसान सवाल है, even then the students are giving the correct answer, it is very much obvious the reaction of the teacher will always be different. I surprise, you do not know the answer of this question. It is very bad. Means if the question is difficult, then less forceful negative verbal reinforcement. If the question is very simple or lower question, if the students are giving the wrong answer, then you have to use more forceful or more effective reinforcers also. Now the next and last one is here, use of negative non-verbal. Again, the same thing, when the students are giving the wrong answer, through your face expression, you will give this impression that your answer is wrong. Sometimes it has happened, the teacher start frowning, घूरना शुरू कर देते हैं, कभी भावें चढ़ा लेते हैं. Through this face expression, this impression to the student, your answer is wrong. Negative nor verbal. But again, the same thing is here. Whenever the teacher will use verbal and non-verbal, either it is a negative or positive, the teacher will use together both the things, verbal and non-verbal also, then his teaching will be more effective. As far as extra verbal reinforcers are concerned, sometimes it happens whenever you will, combine both the verbal and non-verbal, either it is a positive or a negative, then somehow a new sound will also be emerged from your throat. एक और नई आवाज निकलती है. शाबाश, very good. This is extra verbal reinforcement. Extra verbal reinforcement. So now here, as today, we have discussed 4 very important teaching skills that you can use in your lecture also. And in the beginning, as I have discussed, the teacher uses near about 20 teaching skills. And no doubt, this is also fact, it is not practically possible that I can explain all the 20 teaching skills in this 1 hour. But today, as I have discussed, few teaching skills. Number 1, illustration with example. Another is stimulus variation. Third one is explaining. And the 4th one is reinforcement. I hope so. To some extent, the concept will be clear to you all. Now, thank you very much, Rafiq Saab. Thank you very much for the participant, those who listen me very patiently. Thank you very much. And apart from this, please, if you have any inquiry, any questions, so I will request to all the participants, please don't hesitate to ask any question, whatever you are thinking. Please ask me here, I am here. Ask me any question, please.
Yes, there is any questions?
Thank you, Arun.
Okay, thank you very much everyone for these wonderful sessions and thank you, sir.
Rafiq Saab,
Yes, sir.
please, I am just requesting to all the participants, if they have any inquiry, they can ask any question, please.
Yes, yes. Yes, ask any questions, please. Our immediate resource for excellent and informative lecture. Thank you very much, sir. Wazir Khan, thank you. Thank you. Good teaching research skill is complementary, sir. Sir, one question is here.
देखिए किसी साहब ने सवाल किया है, do teaching and research skills are complementary? Both the skills are totally different. Both the things are totally different. And generally you will find a person may be a good researcher, but it is not necessary the person will also be a good teacher also. And one person may be having both the skills. He may be a very good teacher also. He may be a very good researcher also. But both the skills are different. Teaching and as well research.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Kindly prepare your questions here. Uh, Now we are very, very thankful, sir. On the behalf of the everyone present here today, I extend my heartfelt gratitude for delivering the enlightening sessions on understanding teaching skills. Your expertise and passion for the education shown through the every aspect of your presentations, leaving us all inspired and motivated to become the better educators. Your in-depth knowledge of subject matter, your ability to engage the audience made this session truly impactful. The practical insights and real-life examples you share were incredibly valuable, providing us with a deeper understanding of effective teaching techniques. We are confident that the knowledge gained from the today's session will significantly enhance our teaching practices and positively influence the learning experience of our students. We also appreciate the efforts you put into the tailoring the sessions suit or need of the encouraging active participation. Your interactive approach not only kept us engaged but also allow us to learn from the each other's perspectives, making the sessions all the more enriching. So thank you very much, sir, for this wonderful sessions. Once again, thank you, Professor Pervez, Mohammad Pervez, sir, for the knowledge you imparted and is very, very skilled for us. And uh, and I request all participants kindly ask any questions regarding this session. Yes, yes, sir. Now today students are, sir, one more question in chat box. Sir, nowadays students are searching shortcut for the finding success. How we can convince them to achieve the success in the long process?
Perhaps Ikra Salim is asking this question, sir. Nowadays, students are searching shortcuts to finding the success. How we can convince them to achieve the success is a long process. Dear participant, now it has become the human nature. Everybody will always be here in search of shortcut just to, because, but you cannot change the nature of a person. But now you can just and because being a teacher, no doubt you must discuss the correct thing. You must convey the correct message and motivate them just to do some efforts just for the achievement of the target. But this is the human nature that you cannot change. मैं सही से उसे भरोसे से नहीं कह सकता, जैसे मैंने सुना है ये या तो हजरत अली का कौल है या हदीस है कि अगर आप ये सुने कि पहाड़ ने जगह बदल ली तो यकीन कर लेना, अगर किसी शख्स का मिजाज बदल गया यकीन मत करना. So it is very difficult. You cannot change the attitude of a person. So but you just convey the correct thing, being a teacher. Then Rafiq Sahab, I think
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is over. I think time is 6:15. And now another question, sir, can you ask, please? If you have any questions, can you write me on mail or WhatsApp? Anyone can ask. Okay, sir. Thank you very much for coming this
okay,
session.
Rafiq
And
Sahab.
I think there is no any questions for further discussion.
Okay. Thank you very much, Rafiq Sahab. And thank you for Bharat Digital Academy also.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Sir, dear participants, we will meet tomorrow. See you tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. No? Not in a 5 p.m. exactly. There is another workshop is here. So we will meet in 5:30. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, Allah Hafiz.
Okay.